The Eagles have a massive problem on their hands as constant penalties and being undisciplined cost the Eagles a game that seemed all in control. We'll break down everything surrounding this game and what's to look forward to from this Eagles offense. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks alongside Jack Kieley to give you guys everything surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles just dropped a game against the Dallas Cowboys, 24-21 in a frustrating game, and we'll break it all down here on a post-game edition of Eagles Digest. But before we get into this video, we're currently at 1,051 subscribers on this channel. So if you're tuning in to this video and you're just trying to, find a place to vent, go in the comments, subscribe to this channel. We got videos daily about the Philadelphia Eagles and everything that you need to know about the Birds. But getting right into this video, as I mentioned before, the Dallas Cowboys won 24-21 over the Philadelphia Eagles in Jerry World. The Eagles dropped to 8-3, and those three losses, two of those three losses, are now to not just conference opponents, but division opponents. So the Eagles are now 2-2 in the division. Just wanted to get your opening thoughts, Jack, about this game. The Eagles were up 21-0 at one point, and they were outscored 24-0 the rest of the game.
Yeah, Alex, this was obviously a very, very frustrating game to watch. Before we just kind of get into the negatives of the game here, we'll kind of focus on the positives because, I try to pull a positive. But AJ Brown, of course, had a big day today, over 100 yards, had a touchdown. That was great to see. Jalen Hurts getting very active in the passing game. I think Kevin Matullo called a really great game through the air today. It was really great to see AJ Brown finally running some routes across the field. I can't tell you how refreshing that was to see because that's really just where he thrives the most is throughout the middle of the field, catching him in stride. He's such a physical receiver, and he breaks tackles, and he's one of the stronger receivers in the league. And it was just really great to see him, obviously, have a much needed breakout game today.
Yeah, you really needed a breakout game from AJ Brown. Was thinking when the Eagles went up 21-0 that this is all a wrap. The Eagles are just going to go out and pretty much blow out this Cowboys team and really just show why they are the number one team and not just the NFC, but all of NFL. And it was just a train wreck from the end of it. Looking at the box score from the players right now, Jalen Hurts, 289 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. He was sacked once on that crucial third down that could have led to a go-ahead score that would really put the Cowboys out of it, but they got sacked, and the Cowboys defense, credit to them, doing what they need to do. But looking at it, A.J. Brown, 110 yards, a touchdown. Jalen Hurts had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and DeVonta Smith had 89 yards receiving. So when you're looking at this box score, if you didn't tell me what the score was, I would have said the Eagles blew out the Cowboys, or at least, put up 4 to 5 touchdowns on this game. It just wasn't the case. The Eagles defense couldn't catch up because at the second half, and we'll get more into it, this second half performance, Jack, was embarrassing from this Eagles offense.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a total dumpster fire to watch in that second half. I mean, they just completely collapsed in the second half of this game. There was a big thing that I want to get into today was the penalties, and this is something that was holding this Eagles team back last week against the Detroit Lions and in the first game this year against the Dallas Cowboys. If you look at the penalties today, the Eagles had 14 penalties for 96 yards today, and that is just like something you're not going to see out of the reigning Super Bowl champions. You'd think you'd see a little bit more discipline out of a team with so many veteran players with championship pedigree and experience, and not making these silly mistakes. I know that a few of the players are hurt right now. Lane Johnson is out, of course, and Fred Johnson was filling in for him today, and he did his best that he could against a very talented Dallas Cowboys pass rush. But I mean, the penalties is something that has been just a really, really nagging thing for this Eagles team. If you look at even last week against the Detroit Lions, they let up 9 penalties for 78 yards. So this is a big thing that's kind of holding this team back, and I certainly hope that it's not going to carry over into next week against Chicago, because this is something that could happen in the playoffs. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys could be someone that the Eagles face off, if they don't end up getting the bye, if they end up winning the conference. Hopefully, the Los Angeles Rams drop a game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. I know me and Alex are going to be big Buccaneers fans tonight in hopes that the Rams kind of drop their game tonight. But yeah, overall, Alex, just the penalties in general have just been holding this team back, and that's something that they need to clean up.
Yeah, they definitely need to clean up on the penalties. I mean, it's no excuse that the Eagles go back-to-back games and pretty much giving up a football field worth of penalties against the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys back-to-back weeks. When you're a head coach and Nick Sirianni and you preach to your team that you need to be strong, detailed, and together, and the thing is what your middle word right there, detailed, is just not what the Eagles are right now. They are not detailed on the offensive side of the ball. It just seems like night and day with this Eagles offense and this Eagles defense. This Eagles defense, I know that they gave up, a lot of yards to George Pickens, but they definitely played with their hair on fire today. There was definitely a lot of positives you could take out of this defense, but you can't rely on them if the offense just goes completely cold after scoring 21 unanswered points. So it's just something that's just very frustrating at this point for the Philadelphia Eagles. When we're looking just a little bit into the numbers of this game, 339 yards to 473 yards for the Dallas Cowboys, giving up over 400. That is just unexcusable. The Eagles matched the Dallas Cowboys in the turnover differential, so they both gave 2 turnovers. Cowboys fumbled a ball and Dak threw an interception. And then there was that fumble on Saquon Barkley. And then there was the fumble on the punt return that was just very frustrating. So when you're just kind of looking at this game, it just was a sloppy game from this Eagles offense in general. And I think that's something when you look at it, you have a short week coming up. Black Friday against the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a real big dogfight because when you're looking at the beginning of the schedule, you think, okay, after the Dallas Cowboys, you kind of get a little ease with the Chicago Bears. This is not the Chicago Bears of old. This is the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams era type of Bears, and they're very physical. They're trying to go in there, and this is their Super Bowl, and they're trying to go ahead of you in the standings. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles are able to bounce back against another big opponent, big NFC opponent that they really need to take in because the Rams are doing really well on offense and defense, and you got to make sure that you can, shut down any sort of headlines that keep going into the NovaCare complex.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Alex. But kind of one thing I just wanted to track back to into this Dallas game was something with Nick Sirianni towards the end of the fourth quarter. And I want you guys in the comments to, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there was a point at which they were at I believe, like the 50-yard line or their own 40-yard line. And for some reason, the Eagles decided to call a timeout when there was 40 seconds left to the fourth quarter. And, they had Brandon Aubrey in range for around, I think it was a 60 to 64-yard field goal. And, I was watching the broadcast and I was like, why are they calling a timeout right now? Why? Like, I know it's Brandon Aubrey. Brandon Aubrey is obviously the best kicker in the NFL right now, but like, why would you let them get upfield with Javonte Williams, who had around an 8-10 yard rush, and then through the slant to George Pickens, who picked up another 20 yards, breaking it down to it was around a 40 to 42-yard field goal, which, I mean, that's like easy money for Brandon Aubrey. So, I mean, that's just one of the examples of Nick Sirianni. I don't know what's going on with like this kind of poor game management. I mean, we can look back at that game against the Green Bay Packers where he decided to go for it on it was like fourth and 3 maybe, and he decided to air it out to AJ Brown instead of just punting it away, letting the Packers almost win that game in like a 30-yard field goal. But yeah, Alex, just kind of overall, I just wanted to go back and just kind of make a comment on, I don't know what this questionable play calling is, but again, guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's just a little scary to see. But I hope that they can kind of clean this up. Again, silly mistakes, but I'm feeling pretty confident going into this game against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with a head coach, Jack. It starts with a head coach. I mean, it goes from the head coach all the way down to the offensive coordinator to the quarterback. When we were talking before we got on air, I know a lot of people are going to throw flack at Kevin Patullo. I thought he had a pretty good offensive game plan. But the thing is, when you're looking at this Eagles offensive team, we got to accept it. The Eagles offensive line, yes, it's been injured with Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens being in and out of the lineup. But when you're looking at this Eagles offensive line as a whole, they have not been able to perform at the level they did to get them to the Super Bowl last year in Super Bowl 59. So when you're looking at it, it's a completely different team. And I think when you're looking at this Eagles offensive line, it's been very underwhelming. The Saquon Barkley is not able to get any sort of space. He's not able to get to the second level like he did in 2024. We've only seen maybe one big run this year against the Giants a couple weeks ago before the bye week. So there hasn't been anything for this Philadelphia Eagles team that they can really hang their hat on as an identity point. It seems like they're really relying on talent alone, and talent can only get you so far. You got to make sure that you can really have the players in place, like the Eagles offensive line. They need to get more healthy. They need to do better in practice to really just get ready for these big defensive tests against the Chicago Bears. Moving forward, it's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers on prime time. So the Eagles schedule, I know people have said in the comments, and I've read them this past week saying like, oh yeah, there's, the Chargers or whatever, the Chicago Bears or whatever. We just lost a game against the Dallas Cowboys. So when we're looking at this, Dallas Cowboys were ranked as like one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and they really stopped us in the second half. So, Jack, I mean, it's just something where you're looking at this team. It starts from the head coach, and I definitely think that there's just need to be some philosophy changes on offense and not relying on talent alone.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Alex. I mean, you mentioned the offensive line, and of course, they've been playing hurt this year. I mean, Cam Jurgens is coming off of back surgery, and he's been playing hurt. Lane Johnson has also been playing hurt this year, along with Landon Dickerson. But I think that the offensive line itself, like they're doing their best. They're playing hurt. Of course, the run blocking is absolutely not what it used to be. I think the pass protection has held up pretty well this season. Like a few pressures here and there. I know that they were getting to Jalen Hurts a little more than I would have liked to see today. But yeah, you mentioned that talent, of course, is only going to get you so far. But I know this team can, is going to make it out of the gutter, and I think they're really, really slated to make a deep playoff run with, all of the championship experience that they have had on this team.
Yeah, and we know, I think the one thing that we've seen from this Eagles team time in and time out is that they are able to punch back. I think I've said that over the past week. They're able to punch back when they have a big loss, a heartbreaking loss. You're looking back to last year against the Washington Commanders when they lost on that game-winning touchdown by Jaden Daniels, where the Eagles had that game in the bag. So when you're looking at it, when you look at this loss by the Dallas Cowboys, it's obviously sucks at this point. You're 8-3. You just lost a game that you should have won and should have won in dominant fashion. But when you're looking back at this, you're only going to learn and you're only going to get better from the losses that you have on your schedule. It's going to be a tough conference. Cowboys were very desperate to get a win because their season was on the line. So we're just going to have to see moving forward into the game against the Chicago Bears. A must-win for the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward on Black Friday if they're able to rewrite the ship and get to 9-3 and put themselves in a good place going down to this playoff run. But that's going to do it for another edition of Eagles Digest. This was something with this post game and everything that happened. I know we're very frustrated right now, but for all Eagles fans, comment your thoughts down below about everything that you're thinking of for this Philadelphia Eagles team. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, just let us know what you think regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. Subscribe, hit the comment down below, hit the bell so you're notified of all of these videos. We're going to have coverage throughout the week. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Birds.